Welcome everyone. Welcome to From Beyond The Paign, an Illinois basketball podcast. I'm Cody. You can follow me on Twitter at Cody_CHGO and on TikTok. And guys, Illinois is one win away from their first Sweet 16 appearance since I was a little kid in 2005. When I say little kid, I was more like a teenager. But we are one win away. One win away from Sweet 16. It was a scare in the first half. They had us in the first half, folks. They had us in the first half. And then Dane Danger and Marcus Domask and Terrence Shannon Jr. said, hold my beer. And Illinois blew out Morehead State in the second half. Win 85-69 to advance to the second round of the NCAA Tournament. Whoo! I needed a drink there. I mean, what a day. What a day of March Madness it has been. If you've been following me on social media today, I was out at Circus Sportsbook in Waukegan for CHGO Sports, my day job. Watched a lot of college hoops. I was very wrong about Michigan State. However, I still think that they don't belong in the fucking tournament, but whatever. That's not what this podcast is about. I was very wrong about that. I was very wrong about McNeese, but I wasn't wrong about BYU. All right. I picked Duquesne. If you watched yesterday's podcast, I picked Duquesne to beat BYU. All right. And I was right. The Illinois was going to go and handle Morehead State. So I'll take that. I'll take that. My guy LFG in the comments. Haven't seen him in a while, but he is in the comments. Let's go, guys. Hell yeah, bro. Hell yeah. Let's go. Let's fucking go. And speaking of people in the comments, if you're on YouTube, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you're new here, if you're watching on my Facebook page or my Twitter account, please come to my YouTube page. All right. So, yeah, and hit the like button. Helps other Illini fans find the show. So, if Illinois wins on Saturday, perhaps I will take some credit for helping Illinois get there to the Sweet 16 because we are in year one of this podcast. And if they get to the Sweet 16 in year one, all it took was for me to just yell into a mic about this team and maybe it just knocks some sense into them. Perhaps. Don't let the facts get in the way of a good story. But in all seriousness, we're one win away, man. We're one win away. JT in the comments. ILL. Let's freaking go, Cody. INI, JT. Let's fucking go, bro. Let's go. I was the loudest Illini fan at the sports book today. I was probably annoying a lot of people. I don't care. I was sweating the over. I was sweating because of my anxiety because I didn't want to look like Kentucky tonight. You know what I mean? I didn't want to look like BYU, those 3-14 matchups, they can be scary, right? So, it's March. Every game, like you can't take it lightly. You can't take it lightly. And we can talk about this game and how my emotions went. Obviously, the first 3 minutes was like my worst possible nightmare, right? Morehead State hits 3 consecutive threes to start the game, up 9-0. I don't think Brad Underwood even called a timeout. And that's not even like, this isn't slander. This is how much he knows the team because Illinois found a way to creep back into the game pretty quickly. It's like they didn't get shook by them hitting those 3 threes from Morehead State. And I think that shows how old this team is. I think this shows the experience on this team. I think it shows the character, the team chemistry. But what got them going is something that a lot of teams don't have. And a lot of teams don't have a Terrence Shannon Jr., guys. All right. 26 points tonight. What? He had like 20 in the first half, right? Something like that. He didn't do as much in the second half, but Dane Danger, 21 points, and the large majority of them were in the second half, right? Dane Danger, Just when I thought he couldn't have a better game than he did against Ohio State, he said, Cody, hold my beer, brother. Hold my beer. Dane Danger. We are all living in Dane Danger's world. It's his world, and we're just living in Dane Danger's world, bro. That pass from Terrence Shannon Jr., the bounce pass in transition to Dane Danger for the dunk, to just that. I think that put Illinois up 11 at one point.
Found this on the web.
Okay, my Apple Watch is going crazy because I'm yelling, but I can't begin to talk about Dane Danger without just saying how impressed I am with him and his consistency to just stay ready, right? I mean, a month and a half ago, I'm sitting on this podcast bitching about how this guy is getting 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Hell, I'd be happy if he'd get 7. Today, 23 minutes. And I know they won by 16 points? I know they won by 16. They don't win this game without him. They don't. All right. I know Marcus Domask had the triple-double, and it's the big story for sure. But it's not like he scored a ton of points today, right? They need if the bench isn't going to be great for Illinois like it was today, they're going to need Domask and Coleman Hawkins to do what they do, right? And they're going to need Ty Rodgers and Quincy Guerrier to not put up a combined point total of 0, right? So they don't win without Dane Danger today, right? And he's just been, in postseason play, he's just been a dog. Even against Nebraska, even though he didn't have an insane game, he was effective. He had good minutes. I think at halftime, Dane had 4 points. I think it was around that. He was on the offensive boards today. 3 rebounds on the offensive glass. 8 rebounds total. He had 2 blocks, so he's actually active defensively. I mean, this is stuff that when you talk about teams that go deep in March, you talk about the players that kind of come out of nowhere and perform to a level that you don't expect, right? Dane Danger wasn't the only one. Dre, Gibbs, Lawhorn. Oh my God, DGL has arrived, folks. He has arrived. He already had put together some solid showings in the Big Ten tournament. But today, those 2 huge threes in the first half, on top of the defensive intensity that he brings, I can't wait to watch him play more minutes next year. But right now, he's kind of blossoming, right? He's getting that experience that's only going to help him go into next year. And I mean, he's arrived. Justin Harmon's losing minutes. DGL is consistently getting into the game the last handful of games and playing like he's playing to a level where he's earned them, right? It's fun to watch. 10 minutes. 10 minutes. Harmon only played 10 minutes today. Gibbs Lawhorn had the other 10. Those 2, Dane and DGL. And then JT mentions him in the chat as well. Luke Goody. Goody as well. Couple big threes and played really well on defense. Goody, 3 of 4 from 3, 9 points. Anytime Luke Goody hits, if he starts hitting threes, if he gets in that kind of rhythm, it's just an added bonus, man. Illinois was 12 of 26 from 3 today. Huge. And when you get these kind of production from your bench, you're not going to need Coleman and Marcus to have huge games. As long as one of those 3 between Terrence, Domask, and Coleman have a good game, if you get that kind of production from your bench, you can survive. I mean, shit, Illinois still put up 85 points. And again, Ty and Guerrier didn't score at all. They combined for 0. Fuck. What's up, Jim? Good to see you. Yes, you've seen me this excited. Actually, Jim, you've seen me this excited. You have. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe here. Maybe not in our office, but let's see. Illini cast. If we win Saturday, watch out. If we make it to the second weekend, we're playing with house money. Yeah, I know. I know. I will undoubtedly get very, very delusional and talk myself into a Final Four. If they win on Saturday, I will undoubtedly talk myself into it. One game at a time, but I just know me. All right. Jay, like to see Illinois come out swinging early. They have definitely been a great second half team. Sure. Brad Underwood even talked about that in his postgame today a little bit, how, I wouldn't say that they came out flat. It's just that Morehead State came out swinging and they hit those 3 threes. You're suddenly up 9-0 in 2-3 minutes. And then Illinois just got it together. And I think Terrence Shannon Jr. led the march, right? He led the troops into battle and got Illinois' offense going. And, they got within one possession in a matter of minutes. And, it was pretty close in the first half. It was 39-38 at halftime. There were multiple times where it felt like Illinois could have taken a bigger lead. And then Morehead State would hit a 3 or Illinois would turn it over, miss some easy shots, whatever. But I think in that second half, what really led to Illinois running away with this game, or at least breaking out, is A, Dane Danger. They had no one who could guard Dane Danger. And B, Illinois' defense was just significantly better too. Morehead State scored 31 points in the second half. Considering this Illinois defense allowing only 31 points in the second half compared to, they normally giving up 40 points a half, I'll take it. Like, again, they allowed 69 points and we've yelled and bitched about this defense for years, or not years, but for weeks, months. I don't know why I said years. I'm all over the place, guys. I'm all over the place. I need first off, I need a bath after all the sweating I've done today. But man, it's been a roller coaster today. All right. Let's see here. Tied for third in program history with 27 wins this season. 5 more to go. 5 more to go, man. Chivoski. We got a comment from Twitter. I'm going back decades, and I wonder if we ever had a better center than Danger today. And this is just a taste. Next year clears out a lot of points, but him growing and improving every game is going to bring the top centers from high school to Illinois. I mean, listen, I'm not here to say that Dane Danger is better than Kofi Coburn, all right? And James Augustine has a very special place in my heart, brother. However, Dane Danger has just played his role very well here of late, and it's not like he's going out and scoring 20 a game, but again, we are kind of watching him blossom into the player that I think Brad Underwood believed he could have when he transferred to Illinois a few years ago, right? People have complained about his defense in the past. I think his defense has been much improved. And all his points that he's getting, it's not like post-ups. He's getting offensive rebounds and putbacks. He's running in transition, right? Like that dunk that I was talking about earlier, Like he's kind of doing it all. I think I will say this about him related to Kofi Coburn. He's a little bit more athletic, so he can run in transition and get those bounce passes from Terrence Shannon Jr. or whoever else. He had a couple of those today, actually, right? The runouts. So I'll say that he is a little bit more athletic than Kofi Coburn, but Kofi Coburn was also an All-American. So I'll slow the roll on it. But I see what you're saying, though. He can be better next year, right? What's crazy is that, like, a month or two ago, I think we were all thinking that this guy was going to transfer out. One, because he isn't getting any time on the court. And two, because of how Brad wants to play, where does he fit in? And, well, here we are. And it's like, how's this team going to win without him? So, yeah. Again, I'm just enjoying the Dane Danger emergence, right? It's been fun to watch, right? So I love that, like, you know, he's impressed you that much, though. I mean, shit. When we get delusional, when we get on a high like this, we start saying crazy shit. It's fine. I say a lot of crazy shit too. Okay, so a few things. Sup, Southside bum. I, my friend. We can disagree on baseball teams, but at least we like the same basketball team, right? A few things. Marcus Domask, his triple-double. First triple-double since his senior year of high school. 10th all-time in NCAA tournament history. 10th time it's happened. Last person who did it, Ja Morant. Might have heard of him. From Murray State. Kind of one of the best point guards in the NBA when healthy. Yes. Kind of a big deal that you can put Ja Morant and Marcus Domask in the same sentence now. Kind of wild. Terrence Shannon Jr. now owns the Illinois single season points record. 669 points. Nice. Let's see. I was watching Brad's post game on my way home from Circa, one of my favorite places on earth. And they asked, one of the reporters asked Brad about Terrence Shannon and him diving on the floor. There was a play early in the second half. And to be honest with you, in the moment, I didn't take too much out of it. It excited me because it's like you love to see the hustle and the, you know, the want. I love watching players get on the floor and like dive for balls and stuff. But there was a play in the second half, early in the second half, where Terrence Shannon almost had a steal, and then the ball, whoever from Morehead State lost the ball, and the ball ended up like rolling all the way down to the other end, and Terrence was the only one who dove for the ball, and he has the IQ to somehow get it and then throw it off the leg of one of Morehead State's players, and it goes out of bounds, and it's Illinois ball. And then on the inbounds play, I'm pretty sure Terrence Shannon Jr. got a layup on the inbounds play. So it was like he created that entire sequence just because of wanting the ball more. The 50-50 balls that Brad talks about. He talked about how he's been preaching for like the last month or so about, you know, getting more 50-50 balls. They're plays that guys who do that. They're plays that separate you from the rest. And listen, Terrence Shannon Jr. is an offensive player, as a two-way guard, as a guy who right now is fueled, absolutely fueled by the fact that he was not a first-team All-American or a second-team All-American. And we all know why he wasn't, but we all know that he should have been. The fact that he showed that kind of heart and hustle to get on the floor and get the ball in that game, in that moment, it just kind of signals like what kind of player he is, like just how good he is, right? I'm telling you, man, this kid is on a mission. And is it just the fact that he wasn't named a first-team All-American? No, definitely not. I'm sure this kid has had a lot of stuff in his head related to all the stuff people were saying about him, all this stuff. I'm sure he has plenty of motivation. It's not just this being left off these lists or teams, whatever. But I love of everything that I loved from Terrence Shannon Jr. today, that ranks at the top. He really does separate himself from a lot of other players. I think he is a top 4 player in college basketball. Zach Edey, probably number 1. You know, that guy from Houston is up there. I forget his name. You know, like I'm not here to rank players, but you can't tell me that Terrence Shannon Jr. isn't at least a top 3 or 4 player in college basketball. You just can't. And him diving for loose balls, wanting the ball more. Thank you, Jim, for telling me the name. Sheard, I think that's how you say his name. I don't watch a lot of Houston basketball. The fact that he's, doing that, though, is honestly, it's not something that I've seen him do a lot. And so to see him do it on that stage, first round NCAA tournament, knowing, everyone's talking about how this team has, hasn't gone deep in a long time. Illinois hasn't gone deep in the NCAA tournament in a long time. This is an important game. You don't want to get upset by an OVC team. He didn't take a possession off. And so, I don't know. That's him doing that, I think, tells me how much of how great he strives to be. So I just wanted to say that. That was probably one of my favorite plays of the day. Outside of Dane Dange's transition dunk and reaction and bench reaction after. Yeah. So Domask, his triple-double, I didn't even realize because I wasn't really looking at the stats most of the game because I was doing things related to my job. And also just like watching the game because I was stressed. I didn't really pull up the ESPN app to look at the stats. I didn't realize that Domask had a triple-double or was flirting with one until like the last 4 minutes of the game. And I just think it's super cool. Like it just adds to his Illini legacy, I guess now. Again, who could you name that is a better transfer than Marcus Domask this year? Lance Jones, maybe? The Purdue team is still really good without Lance Jones, right? Illinois is not nearly this good without Marcus Domask. There's no way. I can't think of a transfer for around the country that has made as much of an impact that Marcus Domask has for Illinois. And I just think Brad Underwood really just owned the transfer portal this past year, and it's showing here. And hopefully, one win away, but to me, he's the best transfer in college basketball this year. So I got no words, right? Dalton Connect, thank you, Illini Cast. Okay, the guy for Tennessee, Dalton Connect, and he like balled against Illinois back in December, right? Sure, Tennessee for sure isn't nearly as good, right? I wasn't thinking about him. All right, so okay, top 1, 2 transfers, right? God, it's hard. It's hard to not say him though, man. This duo. When you watch Illinois the rest of this tournament, I believe you're gonna go into every game and believe that Illinois has the 2 best players on the court. Now, once they get deeper in the tournament, maybe you can argue, but when they play Duquesne on Saturday, they are going to have the 2 best players on the court, right? So it's hard to not feel good. Like the history is history and things that have happened in the past, fine, right? Losing to Loyola, fine. Like that team was different though. None of those players were on this team. I think this team has a higher ceiling than that team, even though that team was a 1 seed. I think this team has a higher ceiling. I really do. I think today really showed it because they could have that they could have really been shook being down 9-0 immediately. And they didn't. And it's something. I got to give my props to Brad Underwood. I think that, one thing that even I have said during his tenure is that sometimes he lacks in-game adjustments. Well, I thought he adjusted well today. Again, 31 points in the second half for Morehead State, and it's largely because they went to Dane. Again, Ty Rogers and Quincy Guerrier barely played. Ty Rogers, 13 minutes, Quincy Guerrier, 12. Because they weren't good. If there's any negative about today is that, like, should I be worried about Ty Rogers and Quincy Guerrier on Saturday? I hope not. They better bounce back. They better be more productive than they were today, right? But Brad realized that they didn't have it, and he pivoted to Dane in the second half. And it worked out. Going to DGL, less minutes for Harmon, right? These little things that I think that we've all kind of bickered about for months related to whether it's Harmon getting too many minutes, whether it's, not riding the hot hand with certain guys. Like, I feel like Brad did something that he did something right that we've all been complaining about for years. So I'm giving him props. I thought he did in-game adjustments well. And them going to Dane really, as much as they did, was it really showed how much it affected their defense too. Because Morehead State couldn't get anything down low. They couldn't. They were jacking up threes. The amount of threes they jacked up that were like, why are you taking that, bro? Like, they couldn't do anything, right? What's his name? Minix, 27 points. Lathan had 23. But Minix, he couldn't get anything inside. He was 5 of 10 from 3. But 9 of 21 from the field. So what, like 4 of 11, if I'm mathing correctly? 4 of 11 from inside the arc. And, he had a couple of those Tim Duncan bank shots, and you're just like, what the fuck is going on, man? But I feel like you're not sitting here feeling like you got owned by Cameron Krutwig again, right? Yeah. And not to take anything away from Minix. He had a great game. And listen, their team is for a mid-major school, they were good, right? Every mid-major school that gets in this tournament is good. They won their conference tournament and got here. They probably had a good seed in their conference tournament and was able to ride to this tournament. It's just the path to get here is a lot different from them. They don't, they're not going to get at large bids, right? Anyway, I felt like they didn't let anything that Morehead State was trying to do offensively affect them. Morehead State, they're one of the slower tempos in college hoops, and that still didn't stop Illinois from putting up 85, So I think they played at a pace that they wanted to play. And, it makes me feel good about going up against some of these teams that, could try to slow things down against Illinois. So, what else we got here in the chat? Let's see. JT says that this is related to Terrence Shannon Jr.'s diving on the floor. It's a championship type play TSJ made. They went on a 42-18 run after that play. Leader. Yeah. There's some stats for your ass. I didn't know that. Thank you, JT. Southside Bum, I think that's when that turned the tide. That and Dane Cooking, for sure. Again, related to Terrence Shannon diving on the floor on that one play. Fighting Illini 23. The only thing standing in our way, right, is Duquesne, a team that is playing for their coaches' careers, life, but that won't stand in their way. I don't know if that's sarcasm or not. Duquesne is, yes, they play Duquesne, the 11th seed on Saturday. And Duquesne is no joke, man. They should not take them lightly. BYU is a pretty good team, right? I think a lot of people believed that BYU was going to win that game just because they were underseeded. Everyone felt like they were underseeded. Hell, they literally were because they refused to play on Sundays, right? So the fact that Duquesne basically led that entire game, I'm pretty sure I watched it at the sports book. Yeah, Illinois cannot take them lightly. Now, I will say this. I don't know if Duquesne will be able to keep up with them offensively, but their defense is really good. And if their defense finds a way to contain Illinois, then this game will be close. But if it can't, then I think Illinois is going to win that game by 10 plus points. Because I just don't think they have the offense to hang with Illinois. Let's see. Fighting Illini 23. Morehead State did what Nebraska did. They threw their best chance all on the first half and ultimately crumbled and wore down. Yeah. I agree with that, right? They just didn't adjust with Illinois. Like Illinois, like I said, they decided to go to Dane and they couldn't stop him. And they didn't really have, like Morehead State didn't really have anything to counter back with, right? No. Also, I'm so glad we already played Oakland earlier this year. I forgot that Illinois played Oakland. Crazy upset from Kentucky and Oakland tonight. I only caught the last like 4 or 5 minutes of the game, and Kentucky just, I mean, you can tell just how young and unexperienced they are. It's every Calipari team. And that's why, everyone talked about how Kentucky's defense was bad this year. And while Illinois' defense is bad, the one thing Illinois does have is experience. And basically that's what I'm riding my hopes and dreams on, right? Is just is that. So Illini cast. I hate that we only get one season of this duo, both special. I think you're talking about TSJ and Domask. I know. Would have been special if we would have had Domask as many years as we've had Terrence. Fighting Illini 23. The play where TSJ dives on the floor and throws the ball off Minix's leg has to be in the one shining moment. It's a moment that I don't think we will forget for a while, because it was just one of those moments that it made you like, to me, it was just one of those, like, this guy does everything. Everything. He will guard the best player on the other team. He will carry your team offensively like he did in the first half. He can shoot the three. He can drive it. He can score off the dribble. He literally will do whatever you need him to do. So, what's up, Herb? Eli, I've seen Eli in CHO Cubs chat. He's a Iowa State fan. Says we coming. Listen, one game at a time. I do know that Iowa State is coming, and I do think Iowa State's really good. Would love the opportunity to play them. Would absolutely love the opportunity to play them. You got to beat the good teams to get to where you want to go, right? Lyndon in the chat. Terrence is playing like a lottery pick. You can see the fire in his eyes, and he embraces the moment. Yes, I agree, man. Dude, I'm telling you, him not getting first or second, getting on the first or second All-American team. Like I said, I think he's already fueled by a lot of things, but that has to be at the top of the list right now. That has to be, right? And it's absolute bullshit that he wasn't. I talked about that last night, so I won't go into it again, but it's absolute bullshit that he wasn't. All right. So we'll see. We will see, man. Anything else from this? I appreciate everyone hanging out. The view numbers on this video as we're recording right now is wild, and I've realized through going through the views on Twitter, I think Elon's bots are a large majority of them. I do not believe that the number that it's telling me right now is factual, but I'll believe it. But whatever. I will. I appreciate the people who are watching tonight, and I look forward to talking about this team on Saturday. Lyndon says DGL is growing before our eyes. Talked about it a little bit earlier. Yeah, like DGL, I can't wait for next year, man. I'm like fully embraced on the present right now, but DGL, again, we were questioning if this kid was going to transfer 2 months ago just because he wasn't getting the minutes, and with the way that things go, and I think people wanted to see him over Morehead and like all these little things, and Morehead got in the game today. He had 3 minutes though. I think it was at the end too, right? Like Max Williams and AJ Red got in, I think, at the very end. But yeah, I mean, all I've ever asked is for DGL to get like 7 to 10 minutes a game, because I think his defensive intensity is it shows. He can hit that 3-point shot when he's got the confidence going. He can legitimately be not necessarily an X factor, but just kind of like it adds depth to this Illinois team. And I think also a few months ago, we questioned if this team had depth, because at one point, Brad was going like 2 or 3 deep off the bench, and that's it. Today, we got Danger with 23, Harmon with 10, DGL with 10, and Goody with 21. That's 4 guys, right? And shit, they probably don't play that many minutes if Ty Rogers and Gary show up. But, oh, man. If you get that kind of production like they did today, if you get that against Duquesne, just wrap it up. I feel good. Now, we have to talk about it. I kind of tweeted about it earlier. I would love to know you guys' thoughts. But would this loss, or not loss, but potential loss, if they were to lose to Duquesne, would it be worse than losing to Loyola as the 1 seed a few years ago? I say yes. I mean, I know Loyola was, they were more highly touted for sure. People argued they were underseeded as well. That year, Duquesne, it's the first time they're in the NCAA tournament in since like the 70s. And I'm not taking anything away from them. They play in a good conference, do we consider the A10 a mid-major conference? I don't think so. It's not like it's just one team from the conference getting in, like Dayton won today too. So they always are getting at least 2 teams in. I don't know. I guess it's a mid-major conference, but whatever. All I'm saying is that I personally feel like Illinois has the most perfect path to finally get to a Sweet 16 for the first time since 2005. And if they do not do it this time, I think it's only going to add on to the psyche of Illini fans moving forward. And I can't take it anymore, man. I can't take it anymore. I think would definitely be a heartbreaking loss that would just leave me very, very, very pessimistic about ever doing anything in this tournament. And I'm already kind of like that. I think I'm a little bit more optimistic than some fans, but I mean, I felt good about if they played BYU, only just because I think Illinois has the 2 best players on the court. And so I'm going to have the same mentality going into this game against Duquesne. So I shouldn't feel any different. it's just you see those numbers next to each team, and it's in my head, I get fuck. Like I almost wish they would just play BYU. I think it's definitely like a psyche thing in my own head. I'm like psyching myself out. I was talking to my guy Greg Braggs about this today. Actually, we were both talking about how it's almost better if they play teams that are harder because they show up to play against them or something. I don't know. Like I think Illinois is going to show up and they're going to give their best effort against Duquesne. They're older, they're experienced, they have the type of they play the type of way that you can succeed in March. Their big question is defense and turnovers, right? Today, they turned the ball over 9 times, and I think a large majority of them came in the first half, right? If they don't turn the ball over, they hit their free throws, and they just play to the level that they're capable of, they should win this game by double digits. They should. Duquesne's defense is no joke. They were able to hold BYU down for pretty much the entire game, right? I don't know what they are in KenPom. I'll look it up really quick. KenPom, here we go. I think they're in the 80s. I think. Yeah, they're 80th in KenPom. 157th in offensive efficiency. 157th. They're 29th in defensive efficiency. So their defense is what has carried them. They've won like I think it's like 9 in a row, dating back like even before their conference tournament. So they're hot right now, right? But again, Illinois, the number 2 adjusted offensive efficiency in the country right now, 92nd in adjusted defensive efficiency. But they just have more talent. I think they have good team chemistry. If this team was inexperienced, I'd be a lot more afraid. But I'm looking at it just as if they were going to play BYU instead. They should be able to outscore this team. And considering the defensive performance they had in the second half today, I feel like that could carry over. So that's kind of how I feel. So, Herb agrees with me that it definitely would be a worse loss than Loyola. Lyndon agrees. A loss to Duquesne would be worse than Loyola simply because of the scoring talent on this team. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Eli says the A10 is very talented. Listen, just because I'm saying that they're arguing if they're a mid-major or not. Look, I think the A10 is very talented. Hell, I've sat on here and talked about how the Valley is really talented. I still think Indiana State should have been. I think that the teams have proved that the last couple of days. Indiana State should have been in over Virginia. Hell, I don't care that Michigan State won today. I still think Indiana State was better than Michigan State. So, whatever. If you get into this tournament, you're a good team. Oakland won their game against Kentucky, and then they showed video footage from their locker room after the game, and they were in the locker room like not doing what all these Cinderella teams do, celebrating. They were calmly hanging out, and like the coach was just talking to them, and like it was like they expected to win that game against Kentucky. Like I understand like the mentality thinking if you're a 16, a 15, even a 14 like Oakland was. And they're a 14 because they're coming out of the Horizon League. But if you get into this tournament, you can beat anyone on any given day. You really can if the teams that are supposed to beat you don't step on your throat and take care of business early. Illinois didn't necessarily step on Morehead State's throat, but they also didn't let the pressure of being a 3 seed compared to a 14 get to them either. Because again, Morehead State hit those 3 threes the first couple minutes of the game, up 9-0. I don't know about y'all, but I'm sitting at the sports book freaking out a little bit in my head. And then Illinois just kind of settled down and got it together, and it was close the rest of the first half. And then they ran them out ran them out the gym in the second half. So I think with Illinois' defense, you're going to see spurts of good defense. They're just not ever going to consistently be able to do it for 40 minutes. And maybe it's because of the way they play, because of how fast they play. I don't know. Maybe it's the different types of players they have on the court or what they're trying to do. Sometimes they play small. They play Coleman at the 5, and that he's undersized as a 5, as we saw all season in the Big Ten, right? But you saw how much better their defense was whenever he was able to play the natural 4 and Dane Danger was the 5. Will they do that more as the rest of this tournament goes along? Depends on the matchup. It all comes down to the matchup. Jim, thanks for coming, man. Get those sales up. And also, thank you. Thank you for all of the stuff that you do. Anyway, so that's about all I really have. We're about 45 minutes in. Yeah, so this kind of how I feel going into Duquesne is honestly about the same as if they were going to play BYU. At the end of the day, you got to beat the team that you're presented to play, right? Let me bring up my bracket. If they beat Duquesne, just for the sake of looking ahead to who they potentially could play, right? Because it's fun. If they beat Duquesne, they're going to play either they're going to play either Iowa State or the winner of Washington State and Drake. Drake and Washington State are playing right now. The second half just began, and it's really close. I actually took Drake on the money line. I would love to see a Drake versus Iowa State. I'm pretty sure Drake is in Des Moines and Ames is like 30 minutes away. What a matchup that would be, right? And I think, and whoever, so if say Illinois beats Duquesne, they go on to play, which is say Iowa State. If they beat Iowa State, they would play, the top part of this bracket hasn't happened yet. Like none of these games, like Yale and Auburn play tomorrow. Same with San Diego State, UAB, FAU, Northwestern, UConn, and Stetson. So we'll see how the top of the bracket does tomorrow. But listen, I'm here for a matchup in the Sweet 16 with Iowa State. I'm here for it. I'd love to see it. They're a great team. Would love to see it. All right. But got to get there first. And Illinois has been presented the easiest path they could have possibly asked for to get there. They cannot, and I repeat, they cannot fuck this up. They cannot do it, man. They cannot do it. All right. So whatever Brad's doing, I hope Brad continues to do like what he did today. Made an adjustment and went with it. Changed in game. Something that we've all kind of bickered about over the years. So I hope we continue to see stuff like this moving forward. Because to me, that's always been my biggest thing if I am going to complain about him. But of course, I'm always going to give more credit to the players. But I thought Brad was great today in his role. So, all right. That's all I got, guys. Saturday, I'm going to be watching the game. I'm going to be with some friends at Joe's on Weed Street in Lincoln Park watching this game. So I will not be live during the game or after the game right away, but I definitely will be doing some sort of reaction podcast or something like that. So I will see you all then, and get your sleep and just kind of relax tomorrow, knowing that Illinois doesn't have to play. But it's one game at a time, man. It's one game at a time. That's my mentality. Just win, man. Fuck around and just go further than I ever expected. Let me get real delusional. Let me have a reason to get real delusional. Beat Duquesne, and let me have a reason to get real delusional next week. All right. So again, hit the like button if you're on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button if you're new. Tell a friend. And I appreciate all you guys' support. It means a lot. Year one doing this podcast, and we're talking about a team that is one win away from the Sweet 16 for the first time. First time in a few years in terms of being in this position, but potentially first time being in the Sweet 16 since 2005. Saturday can't get here fast enough, but it also can take its time just so I can have some time to breathe. All right. So again, I appreciate y'all. I will see you all over the weekend at some point here on YouTube. And but until then, ILL.